energy, everybody's expecting gas prices to rise back up again, possibly to where they were, maybe even worse. And I know that's one of your key issues that you're concerned with.
Very concerned with that. I would add that the state has a State Energy and Environmental Commission, which the Speaker appointed to me 2 years ago, and I was elected Vice Chair of that group. So even now, energy is probably my main single focus, although I have many other tasks as well. Energy is going to be a complicated subject. We need to distinguish between liquid fuels and electricity. The shortage in America and the shortage and the dependency on foreign sources of fossil fuels is chiefly on the liquid side. At the same time, electricity rates are rising. AEP has another increase in a pipeline that's really based on coal prices, because most of our coal is being exported, and China and India especially are buying tremendous amounts of electricity, coal. So that's translated into an increased price in coal. So, you know, without coal you don't generate electricity, and yet we have people that really can't afford, you know, much in the way of further increases. So it's a catch-22. Then we have climate change, the argument that climate change is here. There are questions about that. Some of the testing stations, for example, are under question, being located in hot parking lots. We have this cap and trade then, which is to supposedly cap CO2, and whether or not CO2, human-caused CO2 is part of global change, if there's truly global change. That's still an argument among a lot of scientists. I know the public seems to be tilting to believe most of them, but each day more and more scientists are backing away from that argument. So I'm not sure where that's going on a national level. But the cap and trade bill in the U.S. Congress, I think, will have significant impact on energy to people in the 9th District, the Commonwealth, and the United States. Someone has to pay for these programs. That's going to be the taxpayer. Now, there are estimates of ranging from $100 to $1,600 to $3,000 a year increase on electricity, gas, and diesel and heating oil. And I noticed that bill passed with a very close margin, 219 to 212 in the House, and the U.S. Senate has slowed it down. So, I mean, this is a hotly debated topic. All the answers are not clear. All the evidence is not clear. How some of those programs would work is still unclear as well. But now at the state level, what we are doing is trying to keep an eye on that moving target and determine what the state can do, for example, to encourage renewable fuels, which could replace some portion of the fossil fuels that we use today. And that's what our commission is working on. We've had a lot of experts in, and between now and January we will be determining whether we want to submit particular legislation to the House of Delegates or to the Senate.
Right. Have you had a chance to read Congressman Perriello's proposal, his new energy plan that he announced last Friday?
I read the report in the media. I have not had time to go to the computer and read it. I know it was clean energy based. In fact, yesterday I was in Gretna looking at the Piedmont biofuel, bio crude facility. And this is the type thing that we want to move to. That facility is testing different crops, farm crops, and small trees for use in producing bio crude. There's a real energy with issue with blended fuels like ethanol, methanol, all the alcohol fuels, as they tend to separate, and there are problems with filters and tractors and chainsaws and cars and different types of problems with them. So if you read the literature carefully, you probably see that, probably could predict that many of these facilities will end up producing a bio crude product equal to crude oil.
Okay.
And then moving that to centralized refineries via train, most likely. So this would allow communities to grow crops and harvest certain trees and whatever, and help that local economy and still keep its agricultural environment while contributing to supply of gasoline and diesel. And of course, when you're using that type of crude, I don't believe you would have the problems you do with the blended fuels. So the ethanol, the corn thing, all the blended fuels might be the first generation, and the production of biocrude appears maybe to be the second generation. But there's some other candidates in there. Algae has a great potential for biocrude. Algae in water. And we have a lot of that in Chesapeake Bay and Eastern Virginia. So there are a lot of pilot projects, but I think the message and the thing we need to remember is it's going to take time. We have to change laws, we have to change regulations, local governments will have to permit these things. There's just the infrastructure and the technology is not really 100% there. So we've got a bunch of work to do over the next few decades, and it's going to take a few. We want to go as fast as we can, but we have to go prudently as well. And that's what our bills and a couple of mine were about last session, was to expand the use of biomass and shorten the regulatory process to get a permit to produce bio or renewable fuels, address right-of-way for lines to connect to electric distribution and transmission. And another part of this that's going to have a significant impact is this so-called smart grid. Basically, the meter on your house or your business would be replaced by a computer-driven meter. And there'll be interface between the heating and air conditioning systems in your house and your hot water tank and whatever to the power company's computer, and you'll have programmable thermostats. And there are efforts to force everybody to move to programmable thermostats so that there can be some control monitored by the power company with your agreement that when the temperature gets below 80 that something would happen to the air conditioning, maybe that you let it get up 2 or 3 degrees. Now that is a profound change in the grid, moving to a computer-based grid. That's going to take a long time to implement across the country. So it's some great ideas and theories. We need to prudently go down those steps. But when we say, well, everybody's going to put a solar system on the roof, and we're going to use wind and so forth and so on. Wind doesn't blow all the time. The sun doesn't shine all the time. So we still have to have that backup, and we're going to have to stay with fossil fuels, try to clean them up more, and do a combination for years and years. That's my perspective.